Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. So far, the market's looking pretty decent. We're seeing some stocks like Alibaba shoot up in pre-market this morning. Alibaba announced a $25 billion share buyback program. $25 billion. So the stock's flying up in pre-market today, which is always good to see. Previously, it was like a $15 billion share buyback, but Tom, they're definitely upping it up in a pretty good way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And they really broke out today up above $110, which has been a pretty big resistance for BABA over the past couple days. So I'm really happy to see them get up above that. And you're right, they have a lot of momentum today. They're up 9%. They'll probably be at 10% pretty soon. But you can see on the daily chart, they're starting to really gap up there. And some of the other China plays I saw were doing pretty good, like Baidu was definitely holding up pretty well today. JD looks pretty good. So overall, those China plays are doing pretty great. And Mike, I was also eyeing up some bank stocks today. I know they were actually doing pretty good. Bank of America had a big pop right before market open, and JP Morgan's breaking out in a pretty big way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, those bank stocks are definitely flying. Like you said, JP Morgan and a couple of the other ones. So that's good to see. Now, I will say, I don't know about you, Tom, but my watch list today is like 50-50.
Yeah, mine is too, actually. I have a few of the poor growth stocks back in the red. Like we have ChargePoint starting to fall back down, along with, it looks like Netflix is actually coming down, along with even, I know we've been seeing these oil plays pop in a tremendous way, Mike, but even ZOM is starting to pull back here at market open. So maybe we'll see a pullback from energy today.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, bank stocks are flying. The China stocks are flying. NIO is kind of heating up a little bit. What else? I'm going to go to the distribution on Thinkorswim. Energy is actually still going strong. I don't know if you saw that, though. Like, Exxon's up 4.5%.
Yeah, it
wait,
is.
no, it's not. Oh, my God. Tom,
oh, yeah.
This S&P 500 thing on Thinkorswim must be, behind or something, because it's showing me Exxon's up 4.5%. It's showing me Chevron's up 2%, and Oxy is up 8%. So it's definitely lagging, so never mind on that.
Yeah, it definitely is. I thought maybe they gapped up, and you know how sometimes it shows that they're up even though they're pulling back a little bit. But man, yeah, I mean, they're really coming down today. Oxy's now down 3% from yesterday's closing price. So definitely coming down in a big way, Mike. And we actually just broke that low of pre-market as well. So definitely not good with these energy stocks. They're definitely falling off. I wonder how those potash stocks are doing, Mike. Like IPI, looks like they're kind of pulling back a little bit, but they've been on a huge uptrend lately, along with Mosaic. Yeah, Mosaic's also kind of slowing down. So yeah, it seems like energy might be slowing down today, Mike. But I will say, as we go on, my watch list is slowly turning more and more green. But a lot of it's just a lot of these slower moving growth plays like Pepsi that's up, only 0.06%. Not too much movement this far.
True. All right, we have Lou saying, morning, good luck to everyone and their trades. May we all swim in tendies today.
There we go.
Yeah, hopefully. So we have Robin saying, will we ever see Palantir reach back to former glory? I would say so. I mean, it's going to be tough. They have a lot to do in order to get back to those valuation levels, especially 45. But I would say, over time, I would think so. Now, that's years and years and years, so keep that in mind. Tom, how about we check out, a chart of Amazon really quickly, max weekly, and we're going to go back to, 2000. So if we go back to 2000, Amazon went from, 113 down to 6, basically, and it took them, let's see, they didn't get back all the way up to 113 until 2009. So it's it took a long time, and that's for a company that grew as fast as Amazon, so it's going to take some time probably, but I think Palantir will. And it kind of brings me to the Zoom example, Tom. If we go to ZM, I love Zoom for the long term. I own it. I have Leaps. I do not plan on selling it anytime soon. I think they're at a great level. And I think over time, it can retest that all-time high at 588, but it might take 10 years,
Yeah, it really might, because I mean that's going to be like a 500% increase from where we're at now with Zoom, and that those types of moves take a while. I'm really glad you went back and looked at the .com bubble of the early 2000s, because that's a really good example, Mike. And yeah, you're right. A lot of these companies are in kind of that same exact scenario right now, so it's going to take a lot longer than people think, and but I will also say, Mike, sometimes time goes by faster than we expect, with all the news and everything going on. So hopefully that's the case. And, we see it maybe, at least it won't feel as long, hopefully. But, whenever you guys hold these for the long term, it's important to understand that it will take a while. And that's why it's also important to diversify, Mike, because as we diversify, some stocks might fly up sooner than others. Kind of like you mentioned with Amazon, they flew up in a pretty good way. Like you said, they were one of the ones that grew at a very fast pace. We're still seeing some stocks under their .com bubble highs, kind of like Intel right now.
Yeah, that's true. Lots of good points. Yeah, good stuff there. Hunter goes morning. Let's go, Baba. Yeah, it's still going. BABA, it's actually at its high of day right now. It's up 12.5%. It is flying, Tom. It's really booming, and it's been a while since we saw great upwards movement like this, with the exception of, the past week or so. But yeah, Baba's finally going up after, I think that was like over a year of just straight downtrend. Yeah, it was from October of 2020 to March of 2022. Like during that whole time period, it was just straight down.
Yeah, it really was. That was a terrible time for Baba, and man, it was rough. And we even saw some insiders like Charlie Munger buying in around this 110 support. And man, it looks like we're now back above 110, which is nice to see. And we have a really nice uptrend starting with these China plays. And I really like the confidence that China came out with last week whenever they talked about supporting their stocks listment on the U.S. exchange. I thought that was really good to hear them say that. And I'm just happy to see them flying up in general. I feel like there's some renewed confidence with the China plays, Mike. Like the fact that China came out with those types of statements, I think really shows the solidarity between China and the U.S. I know it doesn't always sound the best, but in the end, both countries really need each other for their economies right now, and it's going to be big. So hopefully China keeps coming out with good statements, and who knows, I've been seeing some good stuff with regarding China and also regarding Russia, Mike. I know that they haven't really been helping Russia as much as Russia probably wants. So that's good to hear. And I know that'll definitely help relations. So I'm glad to see Baba running today. The other ones, they were kind of gapping up earlier in the morning, but looks like JD's kind of pulling back here at market open. Baidu's were starting to run up though.
Huh. Yeah, there we go. How's Queb?
Queb was doing pretty good earlier, actually. It's up 6.7%. So, yeah, Queb's doing great. And then we also can't forget about some of these EV stocks like NIO. NIO looks like it's running up towards that high of yesterday. And who knows, we might get a nice breakout with this one.
All right, there we go. I'm also seeing CrowdStrike on the high ticker, CRWD. Some of the calls on this one are up good today. And it's actually breaking out. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, it has a nice move going on, Mike. It ran up above 210. We're all the way up to 212.92. Look at them on the daily. I mean, they are really holding their ground and recovering up in a good way, Mike. Like a lot better than my opinion, than a lot of these other setups. CrowdStrike is kind of in a setup similar to Square, where, in my opinion, they kind of consolidated for a longer time than most other stocks did before flying back. So I'm glad to see them coming up in a good way. And this is just a really bullish setup here, Mike. And the way they're breaking out is awesome. I will say, though, they are running up towards a resistance, though, around 215 to 217. So definitely be careful around there.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, Carlos mentioned Palantir for the long term for sure. Yeah, it has a lot of potential. What else do we have moving, Tom? Do you see any hot plays today? Any breakouts? Anything like that?
One that I'm seeing, Mike, for a nice recovery here is possibly Ford. I'll tell you, they had a nice turnaround today. Ford really sold off yesterday, and today they are ripping right back up. They're only up 2.7%, which isn't too much, but I will say it's looking pretty good on the daily chart. It's starting to consolidate a lot down here at the lows. Looks like General Motors is also having a similar move here. So both of these stocks are at pretty good levels, in my opinion, for the longer term. I know Ford has went on a crazy uptrend, though, over the past couple of years. So, take that for what you want. But Ford's doing good today. GM's doing pretty good. Even Rivian, Mike, is in the green. So I'm glad to see some of these EV hype plays doing good. I wonder how Lucid's doing. And yeah, even Lucid's coming back up.
What are you thinking with like Tesla?
Tesla, let's see them. Yeah, they're doing great, Mike. I know we talked about this one a lot in yesterday's video, and man, they've been on a crazy uptrend over the past like 5 trading days. They went from 755 up to 942. Like they have been on an explosive run here, and if they break out above 942 again, I'll definitely eye this one up. Looking at them on the daily chart, Mike, they are starting to really recover up from those lows. So they're going to be retesting that big $1,000 resistance again pretty soon, probably.
Yeah. And then we have Robin saying LAC finally getting some movement. I was actually looking at this one the other day. This is a lithium company, but yeah, it's finally moving up. Over the past year, it's been in like a nice uptrend. It's been very stagnant over like the past couple of months or so. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely on that uptrend overall.
Yeah, it is, and it has a huge support down here, right around $24 to $25. Like we've seen a ton of bounces with LAC right around there for some reason, and now it's moving up in a great way. It's even breaking out above past resistance, like right around $31. So we're seeing some pretty good price action out of it. And I know these commodities are on fire right now, Mike, and it's not even really crude oil and gold. Like we're seeing these other commodities like natural gas and lithium and all these other things going up in a major way also. So it's good to see LAC profiting from that. I know another one lately has been US Steel, which is X, but this one's starting to pull back a little bit today, but I'm glad to see LAC continued here.
Awesome. Right. And then let's see. We have Lou saying DNN and CCJ look primed to rip up with all the uranium drama. Yeah, I agree. I like CCJ more. It's just the one I trade more, but they appear to be moving in a very similar way.
Yeah, they are. I will say CCJ on the daily chart, Mike, is breaking new highs. And what was the other ticker again?
DNN.
DNN. Okay, so DNN is still a little bit down from their all-time highs, and they're also at a pretty big resistance here, right around $1.80. I will say this one's going to be a little risky, Mike, given that it's a penny stock, but I will say CCJ looks pretty good. It's breaking out. It just broke all-time highs here. I also like UUUU. This one is also kind of lagging behind, though, kind of like DDN, so definitely keep that in mind. CCJ seems like it's the bigger runner here.
Yeah. Alrighty. And then we have Iranical mentioning Square, Tom. This one is still going. It's been on an amazing uptrend over the past couple days, but this movement right from open is like amazing.
It really is, Mike. It's flying back up, and I could not believe this one moved up in such a major way again. I was really maybe expecting another slowdown or just another steady day here, but we ended up really popping back. We're retesting that high of the other day. I know we got up to 142.94 up there, so it would be awesome to get up to there and maybe break that again. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these growth stocks, Mike, are turning back around, like Square's moving back to the upside. I'm starting to even see like Blink climb back up my watch list, which is nice to see. I know they were a pretty beaten down stock lately. Looks like RUN is also having a nice explosive move. So, hey, I'll take it, Mike. If these growth stocks keep coming back like this, I'll be really happy, especially if DraftKings keeps it up.
Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Even Apple's looking pretty good today. That one is moving up in a pretty good way, and we're right at that high of day.
Yeah, we are. We just touched that high of yesterday, broke above it, so hopefully we keep running. I mean, it's having a nice move. Apple on the daily chart, Mike, is looking great. We've bounced a lot around support, which is great to see. So Apple's definitely having a nice run this morning. I wonder how Microsoft's doing compared to Apple, and Microsoft's having a very similar move. Broke above that high of yesterday, and it's starting to move up in a great way. Actually, Microsoft's breaking above $300 right now, so maybe we'll go on a nice run with these stocks here.
Yeah. All right. What else? I mean, I see FedEx running too, but, by looking at this screener, it looks like the bank stocks are really running up today, like JP Morgan, even Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is definitely the more volatile one. Check that out.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, they are really coming up, Mike. They're up 4.7%. Let's see on the daily chart like how much they're off from their high there. So yeah, they're still like around 7 points away from their all-time high, which is great. I know JP Morgan is pretty far off their high there. So we'll have to see how these stocks end up doing. But you're right. I mean, Wells Fargo is really running up. It seems like Wells Fargo, for some reason, Mike, is one of the more volatile bank stocks. You know, like I feel like this one has been more of all over the place the past couple of years. I know JP Morgan and Bank of America recently had a big fall, but I feel like Wells Fargo usually posts some pretty high percentage days. Like, look at this recent uptrend, like at the beginning of the year. You know, like Wells Fargo was having like back-to-back 5%ers, which was pretty insane. So it's cool to see this one running up like this, Mike, but definitely all the bank stocks are having a great day this morning. I actually noticed this in pre-market today, and it's been one of those hot sectors. And I feel like that the banks are really liking what Powell has to say about raising rates. I feel like that has a big impact on these banks, and the way he got really hawkish yesterday probably really helped out this run here.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. I can definitely see that. And I also thought it was interesting how, the market kind of fell when Powell spoke yesterday, but like today it's up, like
Yeah.
0.6%. It's like, all right, like the market, like it just doesn't really make sense sometimes. So it's like the market freaks out when he says that. And like, I don't know, 8 hours, 12 hours goes by. And then it's like, actually, we're fine with that statement. And what I mean? Isn't that weird to you? Like,
yeah,
like,
the market digests news in such a weird way sometimes. Like we see it, sometimes it'll digest news just as expectations, like if the Fed raises rates and the market doesn't like it, you might see the market then dip down. But sometimes then we'll see the market fly up because, maybe the bank stocks will benefit from it, or maybe traders digest that that's the Fed's helping out the economy or what have you. So definitely strange to see that type of movement like that, Mike. And even the movement from the FOMC meeting last week was kind of weird. Like initially we started selling off in a major way. And then whenever Powell spoke, we flew right back up. So initially, the interest rate hike scared the market, but then whenever Powell spoke and reassured the market, we flew right back up. So it's definitely strange how the market digests news, Mike, and it definitely doesn't always go by the textbook. I feel like we see this too often where everybody's trying to make plays on like rates rising or the Fed speaking or what have you, but it seems like the market just digests it however it feels like on a certain day. Like every day, it seems like sentiments are different.
Yeah. What I really think it is for like very short-term movement, like I said, this is specific to very short-term movement. I think because the market is so influenced by algorithmic trading systems, especially from these giant firms, I feel like it's like it kind of whipsaws in the short term because, for example, like let's say if we look back at the SPY at like, I don't know, when it was at like $444.50 yesterday, like right in the middle of the day, that's when it started falling down, and then the sell-off just accelerated more and more and more. I feel like we might have had like, a giant sell order come in from one institution, or like, just something to spark a little bit of selling pressure. And once that happens, like that's like rolling the snowball down the hill, and then like other algorithms pick off of that, and then they start selling off, and kind of like what happened with the flash crash, because that was a disaster, and ultimately it was just like it was just like one thing started the flame, and then like it just turned into like a giant, I guess you could say, disaster. So like I feel like with all this very short-term movement, in my opinion, it's because of how integrated all these like quant trading systems are in the market. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. There was a lot of volume that came in, like right around that big initial first 5-minute candle there. Let's go to like the 1-minute chart and maybe digest it a little bit better. Now, of course, my charts get all messed up because I switched times, but here we go. Back to yesterday. So we can see how the SPY kind of like triple topped here, like right around 445.75 to 446, pretty close there. And then we had that, like you said, Mike, just a huge like flash crash out of nowhere. And I want everyone to pay attention to this because I switched over to the 1-minute chart just to show this, because look at how little the volume got, and then within 1 minute, look at all the volume that came into the SPY there within just 60 seconds. So that definitely shows you, Mike, that something was happening in a very fast way. And generally, you don't see people react in that type of way within 1 minute. So
Right.
that, in my opinion, definitely shows that there was something going on with those algorithms. And even the next minute was pretty big. But as we can see, the market started kind of going all over the place. And then whenever volume slowed down, I feel like retail traders kind of caught on and then sold the market off even more down towards 441. So really good point there, Mike. That's definitely a good thing to look at. And the way that volume came in so quickly, I think shows that was probably what happened. And then also the SPY triple topping up there. Like imagine all the algorithms maybe like eyeing up that resistance or whatever, whatever they saw there. And then it really started just accelerating. So really good eye, Mike.
Yeah, and this was like a fact from a couple years ago, and it was like 65 or like 70% of all trading volume is done by computers, and that was like years ago. So I bet that percentage increased even more. So, it's interesting. Like most of the time you're trading, it's against a computer. Just according to the data, at least from a couple years ago. And like I said, it's probably even higher nowadays.
Yeah, and there's been some, I don't even know if they're conspiracies or if it's fact, but I've heard a lot of people even coming out, and keep in mind this, like I said, it might be conspiracy because I just read it in articles and hear it all over the place and stuff. But, a lot of people have said that with how successful retail traders are, obviously not very successful. So what a lot of these algorithms do is they'll honestly see your position and they'll just go the opposite way, or they'll try to sell you the position or what have you. So kind of crazy to see how these algorithms, or at least here, that they try to go against like retail traders and stuff like that. I know that that's definitely a weird thing to hear maybe, but I mean, like, what are your opinions on that, Mike? Do you think that's something that happens where these algorithms are kind of looking at retail traders and buying that data so that they can kind of like go against them?
Definitely. I 100% think that's happening. Like, let's say with Robinhood, right? Let's say, we go to Robinhood and let's say an average trader goes to Robinhood and buys all these calls, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, when they get that order filled, that order data was sold by Robinhood to an institution like Citadel or, any other firm like that. From that point, Citadel does so much with that data that we don't even know about, like that's the scary part. Like, we really don't know everything that they're doing with that data, but I have a really strong feeling that they're definitely inversing, and it would make sense, I'm sure that they have some like parameters to avoid. For example, like, if some retail trader just says, all right, I'm gonna go all in on, calls that have a 1% chance of winning that expire in a day, like sure, like the firm might sell that call to the retail trader at the right price, but it's like they're not gonna, or you would like to think that they're not gonna open positions that are excessively risky. But to answer your question, yeah, I definitely think that they're doing that.
Yeah, because I know I've been hearing about that for a few years now, especially ever since the GameStop and AMC stuff happened. Of course, everybody started looking up how hedge funds worked and how algorithms worked and everything like that. So it's definitely an interesting topic there. But yeah, I mean, to go back to what we were saying, those algorithms play a big role in the market, and we could definitely see that yesterday with the SPY. I am really happy though to see us recovering back today, Mike. I mean, I'm glad to see that the market got back together and we're moving back up in a major way. So glad to see that. Wonder how the QQQ's doing. And it actually, to me, it doesn't look like it's doing quite as good as the SPY is, but hey, I'm still glad to see that it's up in the green. And going back to some of these stocks that were moving today, like Square, looks like they're going back on the uptrend here. So maybe we'll see a continuation soon.
Awesome. And I see that BABA is definitely lower than where it was a couple minutes ago. That one's pulling back.
Ooh, yeah, it is actually. It ran up to 117 just about, and now it's all the way back down to 113. So we'll have to keep this one on the radar, Mike. I know that BABA, it's a tough stock to trade, but I will say it had a nice gap up this morning. Even though we pulled back, we're still up 9%. So still having some nice explosive movement here. I will say, I think if BABA holds this 110 support, I think we'll do pretty good. So hopefully it ends up holding up today. It would make me really sad if BABA sold back off. And I don't think it will. We've had a lot of renewed confidence, and China just keeps making great statements. So I'm glad to see that these stocks are starting to move in a good way.
Good stuff. All right, and let's see what else we have moving. It looks like Twitter's on the uptrend a little bit. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, Twitter's not looking bad, actually. It's looking pretty good today. It's up 2.6%. Still down around $39, though, which is crazy to say with Twitter. I can't believe how much these social media companies have sold off, but they formed a really nice support around $32, and they're holding up very well. Honestly, I love this type of setup, Mike. Like, the setup that Twitter's in, Square's in, Enphase is in. Like, these are just such bullish setups, in my opinion. You can see Enphase is kind of leading the way here, starting to really break out to the upside. And I feel like Square and Twitter are kind of at the beginning stages of that type of move. So I'm definitely eyeing these stocks up, Mike, and hopefully we see this recovery continue.
Good stuff. All right. And then some of the other plays that are breaking out is actually surprisingly Facebook, which is good.
Yeah, thank God. I mean, man, it's been a while since these guys have ran. I know they had a pretty good week last week while the rest of them did good, like Square and stocks like that. So I'm glad to see Facebook's moving with these other growth plays. Today, they're not too explosive, but, they did have the nice, 5-day run there, back up towards that 218 resistance. But they're definitely having a great day today. And just like I said with Square, I feel like that they're in a pretty good setup. And if we do start to see a nice breakout, maybe up above 218 or 220, we might start to see a bigger move here with Facebook. Maybe we'll go on another nice multi-day uptrend like last week. That would obviously make for a best case scenario.
True that. And then, Tom, I know you've been watching Starbucks here and there. What are your thoughts on the movement over the past week and then also the past couple months?
Yeah, I think this movement is creating a really good opportunity with Starbucks. I've been holding off for the past couple days because this uptrend has been great as we've been seeing it, but they have a big resistance around $90, and it looks like they are coming up today, and they look like they want to come back and retest this. So Starbucks is definitely looking pretty good here, Mike. I like this one for a longer term hold. I think that they're just a great company, and like we always say, if we go to Starbucks, there's lines around the building and stuff like that. And I know that their popularity doesn't equate to their stock price going up, but I think that compared to their higher valuations in the past, we're getting it at a great discount right now. So I like it, Mike. And look at the volume coming in even on the daily chart. There's been a lot of blue candles down here that are pretty large, actually, ever since Starbucks has been hitting lows.
Yeah, let's see. I'm pulling up some of its fundamental data right now just to see. So they have a price to sales ratio of 3.3, which is low, but it depends on what some of their competitors are doing. A car company will have a price of sales of 0.5. So
it's hard to find their competitors because what would you even count as their competitor? Maybe McDonald's or something?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I mean, I would say companies like McDonald's, on Finviz,
Donuts, maybe
it's saying Chipotle, Mexican Grill. What other one did you suggest?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin', what's their ticker?
I don't even
again?
know if they have a stock though.
I thought they did. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. See, I mean, let's say we went to McDonald's, right? Because that's their most comparable competitor, I guess. So their price of sales. Let's see. Price of sales. Wow, this is actually interesting. So McDonald's has a price of sales of 7.5. Starbucks has a price of sales of, what did I say, 3 point... Oh, oops, hold on. Starbucks has a price of sales of 3.3, so that's pretty good. Starbucks' revenue has been consistently growing over the past, 10 years, with the exception of COVID's year, but, that was, a one-year type of thing. They're free cash flow... Or, no, they are cash flow positive. What else? Let's see. Price... I'm just looking at some of their fundamentals right now. I mean, it looks pretty good, but not grade A. You would say it's not like Microsoft or Facebook or something like that. But it does look pretty good for the most part. Just comparing price to sales ratios, they're better than McDonald's. McDonald's has a PE of 23.4. Let's see Starbucks. Let's see. So 23.4 on McDonald's, 23.4 on Starbucks. So they're right next to each other with that. So yeah, I mean, it seems like it's at a decent level. Plus you get that dividend. I would rather just have the company buy back shares rather than the dividend, but Yeah, I mean, it seems fine. Um, yeah, I mean, it seems pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, those dividends they definitely bring in some investors, like you've talked about in the past, though, Mike. Like, I know sometimes those dividends can suck because then I know you mentioned to me you have to end up paying taxes on them. So
Yeah,
you're paying taxes on then the stock movement if you close out and your dividends. So
yeah,
it's like you're kind of getting hit with double there. So definitely a good thing to look at. But yeah, I mean, they do pay a dividend, which is nice. And hopefully they just keep continuing to grow. I know that they've been a pretty popular company, and I will say, like, for the past few years, did Starbucks have a split over the past like five? Okay, they did. I was gonna say I remember Starbucks at being a little bit of a higher price, I thought, in the past. So they definitely split back in like 2015, 2016. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely eye them up, Mike. I think they'll be pretty good for the long term. And with the way they're dipping down, I just really like it just as like a nice buy and hold. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really think in the short term it's gonna necessarily explode up or anything, although it does look like it's having a pretty nice run today. But overall, like, I just really like this one long term, and it'll be a stock that I would like to hold and just keep and not really let go of. I know sometimes people like to trade stocks, maybe hold them for a couple years and get rid of them, but I feel like Starbucks would be a pretty safe one to hold for the maybe like 5 to 10 years. And I obviously it could end up going down, but I feel like that over that time they'll end up doing pretty good.
yeah, that's true.
And
True.
eventually, who knows? They might not even have to pay workers. I've heard some stuff about like robots running Starbucks in the future and stuff like that. So we'll probably see some crazy stuff come out soon.
Yeah, and then I guess you could say the same thing about McDonald's too.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that too. And, that's kind of crazy to think that in the future we'll have, like robots cooking our food. And I've seen on YouTube that in some other countries, this is already happening. And I know that there's been like some testing going on with it. So it's definitely a pretty crazy thing to try to comprehend, Mike. And, I know a lot of people are also upset because that does also mean that people won't be able to have as many jobs. But at the same time, maybe then those people can focus on other stuff and maybe, get like a better paying job or something like that they'll even have more enjoyment at. So maybe it'll help out the society overall.
Yeah, and what I'm really curious about is like how close do we really think we are to like a fully automated like system like that? Like I've been hearing things like over the years about,
Yeah.
like eliminating those types of jobs and replacing them with like robots, but it's like part of me like in the back of my head like I don't see it for like the next like at least 5 years, like minimum 5 years. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I know there's like a lot of hype with it. It's hard for me to envision it, and maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be tough. I know that, like I said, in these other countries, they've been kind of testing it. Like I think in China, I've seen a couple tests, and over like in Tokyo or something, or maybe just a company that did it over there. But either way, it's interesting, and I feel like we're also kind of like 5 or 10 years away, Mike. It's going to take a while, obviously, and there's a lot of robotics companies like out there, like IRBT and stuff like that. Honestly, IRBT's at a pretty good level for the longer term right now. But I know this is a pretty crazy company. They make the Roomba, but keep in mind that I've heard also that they're starting to make robots that'll like clean your house and stuff like that. Obviously, it's going to be. I know the Roomba cleans your house, but obviously, more advanced versions that aren't just skirting around the floor. But either way, I mean, it's gonna be a long time, Mike. Like you said, probably 5 years, probably even longer. I feel like though, like Starbucks might be one of the first ones to do it. I feel like coffee would be an easy thing to do compared to maybe like flipping hamburgers and stuff like that. But I know Starbucks does a lot with food as well. And it's just like you said, it's going to be a long time, and we'll have to see a lot of innovation come out. I've seen some of these concepts in like movies and stuff, and it's definitely a little bit strange. And I do feel like, Mike, that society just overall like isn't ready for it yet. Like they're not even ready for electric cars yet, let alone robots cooking your food and stuff.
Yeah. All right. So we had Robin. So Tom, it turns out that Duncan had a stock, but they went private in 2020, according to Hunter. So when they had their stock, it was DNKN. So shout out Robin and Hunter with that news. But yeah, I thought I remember that stock, but then I actually typed in DNKN, and then yeah, obviously it didn't work. But yeah, shout out Hunter and Robin for that news. Tom, there was actually a report that came out on how Pelosi exercised 25 call options for Tesla that expired on March 18th at the 500 strike price. So basically,
Whoa.
she picked up 2,500 shares of Tesla at $500 each, but of course, obviously, she had to pay for that right. And I'm curious on, like, if she's actually profitable with that trade right now, because if she bought those options, like, months ago, she probably isn't profitable. So we'll see with it though, but that is pretty interesting. Just one thing to keep in mind, because I know that Iranical mentioned this, is like, if she's exercising these calls, especially 2,500 shares, she's probably not looking at it for a short-term trade. Like, she probably plans to hold this for like bare minimum, like a couple months, if not years.
Yeah, I mean, I would even think maybe years. I think it just depends on how quick Tesla goes up, but you're right. I mean, that's pretty big that she's closing those out. I do think that that's also showing that she has a longer term or like a longer term goal in mind. So hopefully we do see Tesla continue up. She's closing it out at a time where Tesla's starting to fly up, and who knows, if Tesla ends up being back like maybe at 1,100 or at really good case scenario, get back up towards $1,200 a share, that would make for some great movement. So who knows? It's kind of strange to see her doing this, Mike, and she's had some pretty crazy trades in the past. So I wouldn't. It would be absolutely nuts if Tesla just started ripping here. It would make me really laugh for sure. Because as we know, Pelosi's been in a few other plays too, or at least her husband. Like, I know she was in MU. She got in like right around the top, and then the thing started selling off. And what was another one, Mike? I think Roblox was another one she was in, and man, that one just got destroyed.
Yeah, that's true. I know even she was in Disney, and that one fell too. But then again, she does have like a lot of time with these ones. I know like her latest options expire on January 2023, and I think the other ones might expire in August or July or something like that. But yeah, she has some time, but they are pretty far out of the money. A lot of them are. Or no, here they're not that far out of the money. Like the Roblox one is, but I've noticed that she likes to buy very deep in the money calls, so it's like even if the play goes down, she'll just exercise it anyways and then just hold it. So some of them are actually deep in the money still, except for like the Roblox one. I think that's the 100 strike for January of 2023.
Yeah, that one was just a pretty bad one. I know that it was, she obviously, this one went down or went against her in a pretty bad way. So she probably got a little bit unlucky with this one. And I wonder how mad she is about it. I'm curious to I would love to hear her just talk about her stock positions. I know that in the past, like a lot of people in politics, especially on the left side, have been hitting people for trading stocks. Like I remember Elizabeth Warren was really going after Powell there for a little while. And I mean, obviously Powell's been doing pretty good for the market lately and everything, but I know that she was hitting him hard and she didn't really hit Pelosi too hard for it. And I know even Pelosi came out and there was articles saying that she supports Congress trading stocks and stuff like that. So it's kind of insane to hear her say things like that. But hey, I guess, Pelosi's been there for a long time and she's had some pretty good trades in the past. So I know she's also made a lot of money from it. So that's, I mean, man, it's crazy to see how much money these politicians can make doing this stuff. Like, could you imagine if maybe she was even a better trader? Like she could probably do some damage with the information she knows.
True. Yeah. Alrighty. So let's see. It looks like we have Rivian still on that uptrend. That one is currently up 4.5% today. VXX is falling. It looks like Disney's coming back up, Tom. Finally. Disney's
I saw that earlier. Disney's doing very well.
It's one of my favorites for the long term. It's been struggling a lot, but Disney's a powerhouse, and we're still waiting on that ESPN sports betting deal.
Oh yeah, that deal's been rumored for so long now. It might not even happen. Geez, I hope it happens soon, and I hope it happens with DraftKings. If it doesn't happen with DraftKings, I don't really care how it happens. But no, I'm just joking. Hopefully Disney itself does well. It's definitely moving well, Mike. It's breaking out above 140 today in a major way. So I'm happy to see it breaking that awesome resistance there. Hopefully it keeps going up, and I feel like Disney is a great long-term pickup down here. they're going to have some big shows coming out this year, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I know they're supposed to have some big movies coming out too. I think it's like a Buzz Lightyear movie. So we'll have to see. But, those are some pretty big, pretty high ticket items for Disney. I know the last Star Wars show really boosted their Disney Plus. So hopefully this one does just as good.
There we go. Alrighty. Well, I think we covered most of the top stocks. I mean, some of the new plays that I see running up are like Microsoft, which is good, but I would say it's a pretty green day so far. A lot of stocks are blasting up, especially some of these growth plays. So it's looking good. I don't know, Tom, do you have any like plays I might have missed or anything like that?
I mean, you're right, Mike. Microsoft is doing very well right now, along with Apple. They are really breaking to the upside today. Really good stocks to eye up, especially for some day trades, I think. I mean, I don't know how much more they're going to keep running, but they definitely have the momentum right now, and they did over the past few minutes. If you would have noticed that nice support touch with Apple at 166, definitely could have made for a nice day trade back to the upside there if you would have caught that. But I'm looking at my watch list here, Mike, and there is some stocks recovering today in a good way, I think, and hopefully we see Boeing coming back. And look at this. Boeing's actually coming back to the upside today. I know they had that crash happen yesterday, and there's not a clear assessment of the damage yet. I'm actually going to pull up the Thinkorswim news so you guys can see this. So the top headline right now says China does not have clear assessment of cause of Jet's crash based on current information available. So they're not able to see what's happening yet. And they also found no survivors, unfortunately. So, I know that whenever planes crash, it's obviously a pretty hectic event. And normally that's, the survival rate is pretty low. So it sucks to see no one survived it, but that's bad. That's bad news for Boeing, Mike, but looks like Boeing's recovering up in a good way. Hopefully we find out that this was operator error or something like a storm caused it or something like that. Hopefully it doesn't tank Boeing stock back down, but I will say it's recovering up today in a nice way, Mike, along with these other airlines like Delta, American. I know that Carnival Cruise Lines reported earnings this morning, Mike, and it went all over the place, and even they're coming back to the upside. So I just wanted to say this because these reopening plays are starting to do pretty good today, along with those banks. I know the banks were still ripping up earlier too.
Here we go. Well, awesome stuff, Tom. Hopefully this movement continues up. The last play I want to look at is GameStop. It's been on my high ticker all day long, and surprisingly, it's up 7.5%.
Wow, it's awesome. It actually is up a lot. It's back up above $100 a share. And we can't forget about good old AMC. AMC kind of double topped at that high of yesterday. It's now coming back to the downside, but I'm glad to see both of these stocks ripping, Mike. It's good to see. GameStop's coming back up in a pretty good way. I know they reported earnings last week, and it looks like they're having a pretty good move ups ever since then. So maybe we'll see a nice recovery with them. I know they said that they plan to launch their NFT marketplace by the end of the second quarter of 2022. So that'll be pretty big to see sometime midsummer here.
I'm very, very, very curious, Tom. How many people are still holding GameStop and AMC who believed in it, a couple months ago? Like, I know that like almost all retail traders were, not all, but a lot of people were in these stocks, right? And I'm just curious, like, how many are still in them, because they've been very volatile. They fell a lot, whether you're looking at GameStop, AMC, or any other hype stock like that. Like, it's been tough. And, if we look back at the YouTube comments from last year around this time, it's, AMC to 500K a share, AMC to, 5,000, AMC to whatever. I'm just very curious, because over the past couple months, clearly there's been more selling pressure than buying pressure.
Yeah, there definitely has. And if you guys are still holding anything, definitely let us know in the comments. It'll definitely be an interesting thing to look at. I promise you, we won't say anything negative about it. If you do say that, I know a lot of people, like to harp on these stocks. And, if you are still holding, kudos to you. You definitely held out for a long time. It's not my favorite position in the world, but I mean, wow, I'm with you, Mike. I'd be really curious to see who's still in. I know some people, that we've talked to over the years have been in this one, and I knew some people were down like a lot of money. So I can't believe it would blow my mind if they're still holding, but at the same time, I mean, hopefully they're holding out and they're holding strong at this point. Honestly, it's so low right now that it's a tough one. Hopefully it keeps going up with these growth plays. I will say the thing that makes me happy with AMC, Mike, is that, it's been going down, and I hate to say it, Mike, but we can go look at something like DraftKings, and it's had a similar move down the past few months. So I can't hit AMC too hard. I mean, obviously it's not the best thing in the world, but compared to these other growth plays, it honestly hasn't fallen too much in comparison. So definitely not my favorite, but it did form a nice support down here right around $13, which is cool to see. But you're definitely right. I'm curious to see who's still in these.
True that. All right, well, good stuff. Overall, the market's blasting up. Hopefully this movement continues. Thank you guys so much for joining. Huge shout out Robin, Keisha, Lou, Iranical, Kathy, Hunter, Carlos, George, Power Sport, Square, Keisha, and Raymond. I think that's everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining today's stream, and hopefully the market keeps booming to the upside.